Hello, good evening, one and all. Chris Hughes from Rebound here on Upstreamedia channel tonight. On this lovely Thursday evening, I'm joined by Bradford Dragons, Ricky Fetske. So tonight we're going to be reflecting on the show, looking at a few highlights, talking about Ricky's time in the BBL, among other stuff. It should be a great show, and I'm looking forward to chatting to him. I see he's wearing some Bradford Dragons merchandise there, so let's introduce him. Hi, Ricky, how you doing? You looking good there, mate, in the Bradford Dragons merch?
Thanks, Chris. I'm doing really well. It's nice to have you here and to be on your show. I've been following your platform for a while now, and I think you do work for in the country, and I just want to compliment you on that. And yeah, it's good being here.
Oh, thank you. I started following basketball about 3 or 4 years ago, and it was only by coincidence that I got into basketball. My best friend had been watching the Kestrels, I think it was D2 at the time, and he's like, kept saying, Chris, tell him watch. And then the one time I did go and watch, he couldn't find the arena because it was moved to a different arena. But I must say, it's an amazing game and definitely needs a lot of TLC. And I think from then on, I thought, you know, I've always been taught, but like, be the change you want to be. So, you know, I was a bit frustrated. It's hard to find out about stats from other teams like yourself or other players. And I thought, hey, as a DAP here, let's try and promote the basketball games. I love it so much, and so when I watch the games, it's such a great game. It's fascinating, and it's been well backed, and um, it's really interesting. I think recently the NBA have done their history page, and it's really good to learn a bit about yesteryear. And I just feel like it's such a followed game, but due to that F word, the funding, it's sort of held back a bit. But let's not talk about that. That conversation talk to death. Let's talk positive. So it was a really good year for the NBL with strong competition. I just want to start with the start of the season for yourselves. What was the expectations coming into season? What were you expecting?
Well, going into this season, we had a lot of returning players. I've been in the country for 8 years. I'm in my eighth season total, so I'm quite familiar with British basketball in both Division One and BBL because I follow both very closely. Going into the season with Bradford, we had a lot of returning players, a lot of guys that I'm very close with that I consider brothers of mine that I've played with for so long. And then we had a lot of incoming talent. We had Albert Margai come in, we had Dave Walsh, we had Billy Cousins, and we all felt really optimistic that we were a certain playoff team and we wanted to try to challenge for the top four. And I think we started the season off a little bit slowly. I think we might have been 1-4 to start the season, but then we caught our stride. We kind of got comfortable with playing with one another, and going into the middle of the season, I thought we were really playing well, and we finished really strong. And I think it was overall a pretty successful season. We were in playoff position when the season concluded. We had a lot of good performances, and like all these seasons, there's a lot to learn as you go along. And I really enjoyed this past season.
Yeah, so you mentioned the last part of the season that was a really fruitful time for you. I think you guys in 2020 was a informed team, so you only lost 4 times, and then those games were the tough ones. So Solent, Loughborough, Hemel, I can't remember who the 4 team was, but they're all very, you know, if you could carry that forward throughout the season, yes, you probably would have been close to that top 5 that you mentioned about. Was there something in particular that you felt propelled you in that second half, or was it just like chemistry and, like you're saying, getting to know each other's play?
I would say chemistry, because when you play with the same group of guys or the same core group of guys over a number of years, you understand what motivates them and what their tendencies are, what they like to do. You can communicate better with them on and off the court, and it helps manage expectations. And also, I think the relationship between the coach and the players is also really important. And Chris Miller is a phenomenal coach, and I really enjoy playing for him. And so I think that's kind of how we've had our success recently.
That's great. And looking a bit more closely at these, what would you say were particular highlights? If it was a game or a period of games that sort of really highlights you personally as a team?
Sure. Well, as a team, I thought we had some really good performances, and we had some victories against really strong teams. Notable off the top of my head is we had a really tough game at right before winter break, and I thought we had a really good game plan going in, and we ended up winning by double digits. And then another one was a home game against Worthing Thunder when we won at home. That was on the other side of New Year's in 2020, and it was actually that Worthing game when Albert Margai went down with an injury. He had a really badly rolled ankle. And at the time, he was our leading assist guy, and uh, also he's a strong defender. And credit the rest of the team, everyone stepped up. Andreas stepped in guard, and I thought he was really good in that role. Everyone collectively stepped up. And I think those two wins were really notable. And if I could think of one personal highlight, it would probably be scoring the game winner at home against Nottingham. We were down by 1 point with the shot clock turned off, and Coach Meller drew up a play, and it was executed very well. And I was lucky to get the ball inside off of a nice pass from Dave and made a jump hook, and that was the winning basket. And so that's a little bit in reflection, but it was altogether a really enjoyable season.
I stood here. I say it was a really good squad. Like you mentioned about Dave, 3-point shooting, and Albert with his assist. It was seemed quite a cohesive team, and all you guys chipping in with your respective strengths to, I say, you were a very strong team in the second half of the season. So it'd be really interesting to see what sort of team you get next season. Because say a lot of the new players came in from the academy sides around the country or other places, and I say it was I personally feel like the NBL as a whole is getting a lot stronger year on year. And I was wondering what your thoughts about that were. Maybe sort of how far do you feel maybe like top four from say BBL quality?
Well, to answer your question, I think the talent in Division One is very strong. I think the competition is really strong, and I think the team that you follow closely, that you mentioned that you're a fan of, the Kestrels, they went all the way in the BBL Trophy. Watched the whole YouTube against Newcastle Eagles,
Yeah,
and that was a very entertaining game. We got a chance to play against Solent 4 times this past season, in the league twice, in the cup and trophy, and unfortunately we went 0-4. But one of those games at home, I think it was the the cup, we were down by 4 in the fourth quarter, and I thought we were a really good run. And I always feel like on our day we could have beat any team. And game plan has to go well. We have to be healthy. Shots have to fall. Have to stay out of foul trouble. A lot of things need to go well. But just going back to the strength of Division One, I
yeah,
think over the years, teams are recruiting really well. They're recruiting in import players, Americans, but also the talent, the British talent, is very noticeable, and it's really refreshing to see. The academy program are churning out some Division One players. They're going to the states. They're going to NCAA schools. We've had a couple junior players, Zion Tordoff, Isley Swain. They went to the States to play, coming up through our junior program. Those are really good guys, and I'm really close with their families too. So that's just a couple examples of my perspective that I really enjoyed because it presents a good challenge competitively, but also it's good to follow, friends of yours and also different competition around the league.
of course, of course. And I remember the Bradford Solent game at home at Solent, and what I've really liked this season having the NBL live, and I think that's only going to benefit the league. So let's hope that continues next season. To say it was really good to watch games I probably wouldn't get the chance to normally. Say being down from Southampton, it's hard to watch a lot of Bradford games sometimes, or the other ones that are on show. So that was a really good thing this season, and that game itself actually was reasonably close. It was quite a good defensive performance by you guys that kept the score reasonably low, if I remember correctly. So yeah, definitely a great season. Even just outside of Solent, it's definitely recognisable that the talent's getting better year on year. Um, Obviously, you say yourself you've been in the BBL. I thought it'd be great. Because I'll be honest, my main knowledge is the NBL. That's what I promote Rebound, but obviously I want to learn more about the BBL and wider the academies and all that. So it'd be great to sort of hear a bit about your time as a Leeds Force, wasn't it? You played with a few years back.
Sure. So to give further context, I first came to the country and played for Bradford Dragons back in 2012, and I wanted to first. So I was looking into different universities around the country that also had basketball programs, and then I ended up going to Northumbria University up in Newcastle. I played under Mark Studel, and I played for the university team and the Division One team. And I thought that was a rewarding experience. And I met some great guys that I'm still friends with today that I talk with all the time. And then going into my third year, I wanted to continue my education, but I wanted to move back to West Yorkshire. So I went to Leeds Beckett University. Leeds Beckett University was then affiliated with Leeds Force. They just went from Division 1 to BBL. So I played against Leeds Carnegie when they were in Division 1, and then also played against Leeds Beckett University when they're in the Bucks Premier League. So I played against Leeds and at Leeds, multiple times, 4 or 5, and I was very familiar with their program, with their coach, with some of the players. So I just had a conversation with Coach Matt Newby, and I also they also had assistant coach Samit Nurzade from he was at Reading Rockets, and then he went over to Leeds, and they won the championship the year after. So going to the BBL, I thought was a really good challenge for me, and after a couple practices, Coach Newby gave me a spot on the team. Moving from Division 1 to BBL, I thought was just a really rewarding experience to play against higher level competition, to play in arenas that had a little bit more attendance, play on more games that were televised. It felt more professional, I would say. Just the production, the game day, but that being said, we're talking about when I was in the BBL 5 or 6 years ago. I think a lot has changed since then. Exactly. So, although my experience, what I have a certain perspective, and other people might have a lot of different ones. Really, a really good experience for me. I had great teammates, and I learned a lot from the coaching staff. That year, we had the best defense in the BBL. We allowed the least amount of points per game, and it was because of our defensive game plan. And I learned a lot from not only the coaches but also from my teammates. And then when I went back to Division 1, I had just tons of confidence coming from a BBM, and I've been trying to keep that momentum going for the past 5 seasons, and I think it's been a fun journey so far.
Definitely. Look, and as you say, you've probably seen it all. So saying your time in the UK has probably been a lot of progression in both the NBL and the British game as a whole, especially with a lot more academies, university programs, boostering the competition. So we'll round it up. So say before we do the light-hearted stats, Chris, I was just thinking, you mentioned a bit about obviously the Leeds being affiliated to the university. There seems to be a lot of those programs playing across with either like the Maelstrom, Sparkin, Solent, and many more, Loughborough. Do you think that's a real beneficial way, as a way of offering an alternative for youngsters instead of having to go off to America route? do you think it's a viable, sustainable option for youngsters?
I think
So
that's a
your
really
spot
good
there.
question. Sorry.
That's all right. It's okay.
Let me know when we're back. Are we good?
Yeah, we're back.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
I think it's a really good question, and I think it would depend on an individual's goal and expectation. Sometimes from an early age, or from a certain point in their basketball career, they have their mindset that the ultimate goal is to get a Division One scholarship in America, and then potentially, use that opportunity to then go further on to play either professional or come back home and go into a different career route. But that being said, I think a very viable alternative is to play in the university system or the academy programs that are in England. Because, I mean, you mentioned the Myerscoughs, the Charnwoods. I know a lot of those players either currently play in Division One, or they've Division One NBL, or they've worked their way to go to the States. And I mean, the more basketball you play as a youngster, as a teenager, the better. The more exposure you have to playing against adults, professionals, the more you play university time commitment. You'll be practicing almost every day, sometimes 2 a days. You'll have a strength and conditioning coach. I mean, I benefited massively from being in a NCAA program for 4 years at Fairleigh Dickinson University, and I thought that was valuable in my growth and progression as a player. So I think that would be a really good goal for an aspiring basketball player to try to not just go to the States, but just be with a university program, whether that's in the UK. You should go either way. It's just really what works for you.
Definitely, very true. So we've had a few players on, and I thought it was a really nice idea. Get the listeners to learn a bit more about Bradford and also test your knowledge on your team stats. But go for what you say. I think you're going to be quite clued up. You already gave a few indicators on how well you know your team's individual strengths. So it's a basketball-related quiz for anyone who hasn't come to the show before. I asked, let's say, Ricky in this instance, 5 questions, one on points, rebounds, stats, assists, steals, and blocks. And as it being basketball related, I thought I either did an easy question before up to 2 points or hard question of 3 points. So to start at points, do you want an easy question regarding points of a player for your team or a harder question, Ricky?
I ask what the high score has been so far.
Wow. So the first guest blew it out the park. Chuck Duru, he got 12, 13 out of possible 16 points. So he did really well. There's a little bonus at the end. If you get 4 or 5 to the right, you get a cheeky and 1 question. So there's all to play for.
Well,
but say Chuck's blown the competition out of the park. So the others have that as well as Chuck.
Sure. Well, I know the number, and that's what I'm going for. So
awesome.
Let's go for a 3-pointer.
Okay. So in the 104-90 win versus Westminster Warriors, Rihal Salks got a season high of 26 points. Yourself and David Walsh also got 20 points plus points. Sorry. But the question is, so David, as you say, with his 3-point shooting, went 6 from 13. Was that a season high of 3s for David that game?
No, he had 7 threes in a different game.
You're correct, yes. He did 7 against Derby. And it seemed to be a great game for a lot of you players. I was feeling questions, a lot of you were Derby. So I thought, look at other games. It was a very good game for you versus Derby. Right, so move to rebounds. I assume as you're going for Chuck's score, you'd want the hard question. So
Let's keep it going.
rebound.
3 points.
Keep it going. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Say you yourself did a few 3 points this season. Let's say. So in terms of rebounds, who got more rebounds in a single game? Was it between Andreas Lykoudis or Jermaine Lang? Who got the highest amount of rebounds in a single game?
Whew, this is a tough
I
one.
know.
Well, shout out to the first time we mentioned Jermaine. He's been on the Dragons for multiple years, and he's a great teammate. Andreas gets a lot of rebounds, especially for a guard. There's sometimes I'm doing the hard work, I'm boxing out, and then he comes flying through with the rebound. So he gets a lot of rebounds too. No, but that being said, with Jermaine,
You go for Jermaine.
I am.
So what's your? Oh, I thought it was Andreas. It was very close. It was only by
Oh,
one. It's all right. So Chuck got one
okay. I
point
mean,
too.
they're
So if you
both
carry
very good
on,
rebounders as guards. So
I know, especially like
okay.
Andreas for guard is quite short. So for him to get his fair share of rebounds, very good for him.
Dre works
Right.
hard
So
though. He's my guy. That's cool.
yeah, I say one thing that really surprised that when I'm going to watch a game of basketball is how much everyone on the court tries and the effort it makes for a great game to watch. Definitely. So assists. Um, Albert, my guy, as you said yourself, led all you guys for in assists. But what was his season high?
9.
Well then, and it's just that team derby again. As I say, it was a very good day for you guys. Right, let's move on to steals. Rihar Salks led all the Bradford players' average steals, but how many steals did he get all season?
I gotta get a multiple choice here, huh?
Yeah, it's multiple choice. So is that A 34, B 44, or C 54?
Um, what was the second one?
44.
I'm gonna go with 44.
That's correct. And I say he was one of the most dominant players for steals this season. He came seventh in the league for total amount of steals, so he had a great season there. And
Richard always top in the league in steals. He's
yeah,
always gambling, but no, he's one of my closest mates. He's a good guy.
and
Great player.
you both played for the franchise quite a few years together, haven't you? So definitely.
He's 10 years plus. I'm still trying to catch him, but we'll see.
We'll get there. Right, so on to blocks. So it was quite a good season of blocks for yourself personally. But as a team, where did Bradford finish in terms of total blocks? Dennis, multiple choice. Did they come fourth, fifth, or sixth?
This is in the league. 4th, 5th, or 6th in the
Yeah,
league. I'm gonna go 6th.
Do you think that again? Sorry, I didn't hear you quite.
6th.
They came fifth in the end, so you did really well with that one. And I say because you got 4 right, you get the chance to do the and one. So we're talking about your stats here. Was this season a personal NBL high for 3-point shooting for yourself?
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was. Yes, you did well. You did.
I've been practicing my threes.
They're important, aren't they?
Yep.
So you guys definitely got your fair share. So it's great having you on. And I say, if people not realising, Ricky's sported a awesome Bradford Dragons top there. So definitely one for the team there. I just thought we'd finish up with everyone having to sort of socially distance and isolate a lot. Wonder what sort of fitness exercises you've been doing to keep yourself in shape and what's been working for you in this sort of difficult time.
Well, I've actually been really active. I've been doing a lot of exercising. I have a strength and conditioning coach, aerodynamic training, and find him. Um, he put me on a program where I'm doing a lot of band workouts because I don't have a lot of equipment at home. I have a few dumbbells, a kettlebell, but I have a lot of bands, and I use those bands to work on different resistance training, a lot of reps. I've also been doing a lot of yoga. I really would recommend that. Um, I've been using a stationary bike. I actually have a court close to my house, and when I'm there by myself, I'm still social distancing, and so I'm getting some workouts there. I'm doing some sprints, distance run, and yeah, I'm really trying to do something every day. And I think I've early on in this period of self isolation, I've developed a good habit or a good routine of working out every day, and I'm going to continue doing that because it is the off season, and I'm still trying to stay healthy and improve, looking towards playing well next year.
I think you touched on it really well there. It's really good to have a routine. Say a lot of us, our routines are thrown out, and actually, I've noticed myself when I've had a routine today, it's been a much better day. So definitely a good message there for the listeners to take on board. So it can be difficult. It's totally a new experience for all of us, and I wish everyone's getting family are well and staying safe. Thanks for coming on, Ricky, and good luck in the off season. Let's hope the new season starts on time, but we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. Thanks for coming on, and quick shout out to Upstreamedia for having me on today. Obviously, if you're new to the channel, subscribe. They do great videos. Head to CJ Lee with Leicester Warriors head coach Carl Brown, who's also a junior coach TV program. It's a great listen, really good, honest chat. I've had guests like Ricky on most days this week and last week, and got high rollers talking about wheelchair basketball. So there's a lot of good content going on this show, and also these guys commentate for on games of Thames Cavaliers in the season. So if NBL Live's not on, there's always a game on here as long as they've got a home game. Thanks for coming on, Ricky, and I hope everyone has a lovely evening, a great rest of the week. Take care, and that's all from us. Bye now.
Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome.